Hi and welcome to My Ordinary Life, the podcast which offers you a rare invitation to hear life from a different perspective. I'm your host, Gillian Allen, and each episode I'll be having conversations with some fascinating people who have one thing in common. They all have a learning disability. We'll be hearing about the joys, the challenges, and trying to answer the question, what part can I play in everyone having an ordinary life? Hi and welcome to My Ordinary Life. My name's Gillian Allen and I'm your host, and I'm very happy that we have Suzie Fothergill with us today. Hi Suzie.
Hiya.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
And I am so looking forward to talking with you this afternoon and hearing about all of your life. And I know you've said you'd quite like to start sort of at the beginning and take us through it. So where would you like to start?
I'd like to start when I was a child. I didn't fit in at school. The kids were frightened of me. They wouldn't play with me because I was having seizures, which is quite understandable for children. They don't understand that. But when I was little, I didn't understand that either. And so I found life really hard.
I bet.
I used to have a lot of seizures, and I started to just not belong anywhere.
Oh, Suzie, that's absolutely heartbreaking.
And I just didn't feel loved at all. And it was really hard. And I got through them years, and then I ended up having to go to an institution for a little while.
Yeah, because of your mental health.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, Suzie, because it sounds like it was incredibly tough for you.
It was very tough. And in there, it wasn't a nice place to be. And I was seeing other people being abused in there, which made me even worse than what I was.
I bet.
I was wanting then to protect them people in the best way I could and know. And so it was really tough. And then I left the hospital for a short while and tried to go back with my family, and things just never worked out.
And how old were you at that point?
Well, I was 16.
So still just young.
You know, all that I knew was abuse, stuff that's happening, people hitting you and doing whatever they thought was right or fit for you.
Suzie, see, for me, I feel like if somebody's mental health isn't good and they go into a hospital, you kind of assume that they're going to get treatment and help. Was that not how it was?
That's not how it was at all. If you were, you know, sectioned or something and you had to go to a hospital, you were there because, you know, because people thought you were mad. Right? And they'll try and stop you from killing yourself. Yes, they do. But it's the abuse that goes on around you too. They're not helping you at all. They're making your life even worse by locking you up. And when you try and speak the truth and tell someone, they don't want to know, they didn't want to believe you.
Right.
I was a naughty girl, that's what they would say.
Oh, Suzie.
So,
and back then, did they have things like sort of advocates who could come and help you or anything like that? Someone who could listen?
No, you would have a social worker, but you would never see them from one year to the next. So, yeah.
Oh, Suzie,
So
I'm so sorry that's how it was for you.
Yeah, it's okay. I've learned a lot from it. And I met this man, and which is my son's father.
Right.
And when he found out I was pregnant, he didn't want us to keep me baby. He wanted me to abort Anthony.
Right.
Yes, and there was no way, because I thought I've got nothing in the world that belongs to me. And if I could have this baby would be mine, and I could bring him up the way I want to bring him up. Or, you know, do all the things I never got a chance to do.
Yeah.
And I would listen to him and believe him, and all the stuff, you know, that has to be done as parents.
Yeah, completely on your own.
Yes, I brought my kid, mum and dad up.
And how was that? Because that's quite, I mean, I'm a single mum too, but I wasn't a single mum when my kids were tiny. And That must have been really quite scary.
It was very scary. I did live with my mum, and the problem was, while I was having my kids, I was on seizure tablets.
Right.
So I used to have lots of seizures, so I was on these tablets. So I found Anthony, he was very slow as a baby. He didn't walk until he was about 2.5.
Right.
He was very slow at other milestones. So I noticed myself that he had problems and stuff. And it started off really, really hard, because once Anthony did start walking and going to nursery and stuff, he was like a wild man. He was so wild, and he was running all over the place. And
that's not easy.
It wasn't. It was such a lot of hard work. And
how, because I know I have heard that sometimes when a mum has a learning disability, it's not that straightforward for them. So people might be checking out how you're parenting. And did you experience any of that? You did?
I did. After I gave birth to my Anthony, I had nurses coming out every day to my house.
And was that to help you, or was that
to see how I was looking after my baby?
And how did that feel? Did it feel supportive?
I hated it. I hated it because when my mum and we had a lovely house, and the house was always clean. I had everything I needed for Anthony, and I used to nurse him, I used to dress him, I used to do everything. The only time I couldn't do it is if I had a seizure. It's obvious. And my mum would do it then. But
your mum was there?
Yeah, and my mum was with me. So, but she came every day to check in. And
how long for?
For about 6 weeks.
Right.
It was about 6 weeks, and she came in this day. She didn't tell us. She says, I won't be coming tomorrow. So we didn't know she wasn't coming. And so when she did come, she knocked on the door, and she said, my mum said, I didn't think you were coming. She says, I was just going to, just a surprise visit for Suzie. Yeah. And me and Anthony were just lying on the floor. This stage, we were lying on the floor, and we were just playing with each other, and I was gaga-googling along with him, and, and he was laughing, and he was a lovely baby. And she says, I've got a lot of work on my shoulders. I haven't got time to be coming in and out of this house, checking on somebody who has done a really good job, along with all our tablets. So that was really
that's brilliant that
good.
she recognised. Because I've seen you, Anthony's obviously a big grown man now.
Yeah.
But you're obviously so close. You obviously have such a good relationship, don't you?
Yes.
And you're quite clearly an amazing mum. But that would have really, if it was me feeling that someone was coming just not to help, but just to check, that can't have felt very good.
No, it didn't feel very good. So when Anthony got that bit older and he went to school, I went to school with him.
Ah, right.
Yes, because I didn't want Anthony to go through what I went through at school. So I was terrified to leave him at school. So
do you mean sort of, I know you mentioned that you'd been bullied and whatnot. Was it that you were worried about?
Yes, and being hurt by teachers and stuff like that, not just kids, teachers too.
Right.
So I wanted Anthony to have a better life than that. So I refused. I said, yes, he can go to school as long as I can be there. And it started off that the teachers let me do that. And I was in and out different classes. And Anthony loved the school. I loved the school. I learned so much in the school. Right. And the teachers all began to love me too.
Oh, I bet they were delighted. I mean, also you're an extra pair of hands. I bet they were, desperate for you to be in.
Yeah, and I stayed with Anthony until he was 18, 19.
Right,
I went
all that time.
I went to college. And then, now, when he went to college, I used to just go up on, different days just to see how things were and stuff like that.
But that is such commitment, Suzie.
Yeah.
That is absolutely just dedicating your life to your kids, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And then when I had Lindsay, when I got pregnant with my daughter, social services were brought back in again.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though you'd done such a great job with Anthony.
Yes.
Right.
Social services coming again. I said, oh, not again. And she was talking to us and she was asking all the different things about Anthony and, you know, and the Ben's father and different stuff. They were watching us and I said, look, there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? I said, it's silly. You've got people out there that need you. That need your help. Babies need saving, kids from abusive families and stuff, you know. And I says, you're sitting here watching me and talking to me. I've already brought one child up. Yeah. There's going to be no difference, you know what I mean?
And did they accept that?
She did accept that.
Oh, well, good.
Yes, she did. And she asked me, she says, right, what do you think I could do for you?
Oh, that's good. Because that's the thing. I feel like if people are coming to offer you help, brilliant. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, and I says to her, I says, I would like you to help me get my kitchen bigger. And she says, why? I says, because if I have a seizure, my kitchen was really small and I always fell one way. And it was always this corner. I says, I would like that knocked out so it's opened up so that she actually got that done. And I got a beautiful new kitchen.
Amazing.
For my daughter coming home from hospital and stuff. So that was really, really good.
And that's so nice to hear about services listening to you. Yeah. That what, you know, finding out what's going to work for you and then doing it. Yeah. Which is how it should be. But that isn't how it always is it?
Yeah. It's not. And so I had my daughter and she was quite a sickly baby. Oh, and she had meningitis when she was a baby.
Oh my goodness, really?
Which left her with a lot of memory problems, kidney problems and stuff like that.
That must have been a frightening time.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah. But at first, you see, when I took her to the hospital and stuff, they says I was an over-anxious mother. Oh. Yeah. And I says, I'm not. I says, there's something wrong with my baby. I know my baby. Yeah. And he says, well, she's not, because she was 18 months. He says, you've only had her 18 months. And I says, yes, but a mum learns a lot about that baby.
You're with them all day, every day for 18 months.
Within 18 months, you learn an awful lot about your baby, what she likes, what it doesn't like, and all sorts of stuff. And I say, she's poorly. And he walked away, and I went and sat down and I was just sitting looking at her and I thought, there's something going on here. There's something really going on here. And I went out and I said to him, I says, I'm sorry, but I know you said I was an over-anxious man, but I'm going to be really hard here. I'm going to really shout at you. I'm going to tell you off.
And good for you, Suzie.
I told him off and I said, you better go in there now and sort my daughter out because there's something going on. And I know there is. He went in and all of a sudden, the ward just stopped. Then there was nurses and doctors running
piling in.
Everywhere, coming from all over and saved Lindsay. And the same doctor says, I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. I says, don't think about that now. Just save her. Just do what you can to help me, baby. And they got her better. Yeah. They did get her better.
Thank heavens they did.
Yes, she did have a lot of problems.
And that was because of you though, wasn't it?
Yes.
You put your foot down, you made them listen.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
And the doctor says, I'm really sorry. I says, no, I says, you know, I says, to you, she didn't. I says, but I says, you really must listen to your mums. When mums tell you.
Oh, 100%.
Mums are the ones that know their children. You know, I says, I know everything about them. So, yeah. So Lindsay grew up, went to nursery. I love my kids so much. I've taken them all over. They've been to Australia. They've been to America.
Wow.
They've been to America about 5 times. They've been to Paris.
Have they?
Yeah, Paris.
Goodness me. And you are such a, because I've seen you with your children, you're such a close, loving family, aren't you?
Yes.
And why do you think that is? Because there's loads of families where, you know, not everyone is as close as the 3 of you. What do you think's made the 3 of you so close?
I made it for so close because I felt alone in my life.
Right.
So when I was young, my mum wouldn't have played with me and done this and, you know, getting dressed up and been a cowboy, I've been all sorts of things around Vinny and Lindsay. So, and we do drama together. All who will love drama, so we do pantomimes together.
Oh, wow.
All sorts of stuff. We sing together. So we've done everything together.
And I feel like that's such an important message about parenting, that just doing the things with your kids that they love to do.
Yeah, play.
Having that quality time, playing with them.
That's all they want.
Yeah.
Play, contact, love.
Definitely.
Nothing more. They don't need money, expensive toys. They don't need nothing like that. It's just love and playing.
And that message, when you're giving up your time and your attention to play with them, you're telling them, I think you're important, aren't you? Yeah.
And every day, we always say, I love you every day. Aww. Every day that goes by. I mean, my son's nearly 39 and he tells us 100 times a day he loves us. He's always giving us a kiss on the head. And
that's lovely.
Lindsay's the same. She tells us all the time she loves me.
Kind of thinking about your life, so we've got to a point where obviously you've had your children, and I know there's lots more going on in your life. So what kind of happened next?
Well, I work at Skills for People. And Skills for People is an organisation that changed my life. It changed everything around for me, from Anthony being about 6.
Right.
So
that's a big statement, that it changed your life. How did it do that?
They helped me to know that I'm a person. I have rights. I'm not just somebody that can be walked over.
Right.
And I had the power to change something, because that's one of the things I've always had in my mind, that I want to change things for other people so they don't have to go through the same things that I went through. And yes, it can be really hard, but it was very good work. And I travelled all over the country delivering training to doctors, nurses, social workers, care providers, anyone that is working with people with disabilities.
And what's that training about?
It's about people, we're all the same, we're different.
Yeah.
Just because someone has a learning disability doesn't mean that you've got to treat that person any different from another person. You might have to do some things a little bit different, but that's still the same. Yeah. It's like hospitals and places like that at one time didn't see disabled people as people. They wanted that part of society to be vanished.
Yes. And you've done so many different things in your work at Skills, I know.
I do.
Loads of different projects. What are the ones that really mean a lot to you?
Well, Stop Dying Too Young.
Right. And I don't know if our listeners will know why that's happening.
Because people with learning disabilities and autism and all these different kids and stuff, they could die 20 years younger than the average person. Yeah. And the reason why is because they don't see that the people with a learning disability and stuff, if they're not well, they don't see that they're not well, they just think it's their autism. Yeah. It's not autism. Autism doesn't make a child sick. It's what's going on inside the body. Like they might have an upset stomach, constipation or anything, because that's the worst thing at the minute for people with learning disabilities. They get constipated and that can actually lead to death.
Yeah. And I was shocked, and I find it really upsetting, I have to say, as a mum, to think that my kids won't live as long as everybody else, just because, not because they have health problems because of their disability, but because of the fact that them being disabled, them having a learning disability and being autistic, means that they won't get the same health care. Yeah.
Yes, they're pushed to the back and they won't get the same health care as everybody else. And that's what we're trying to change. Everybody has a life and every person has a right to health care. Yeah. Nobody should be denied it, whether they've got a learning disability or whether they haven't. You know, we all have the same rights.
Completely. And one thing I find with my kids is that, say if I took them to an appointment, or they might be quite anxious, they might be quite stressed out, and it's hard for them. They don't necessarily understand the importance of what is going to happen.
Yes.
So we need things to be different. So my Evie needed to have an MRI a couple of years ago because we were worried about her having a brain tumour. And I was really lucky that I spoke to the hospital and I said, look, you're going to have to lend me some equipment. We're going to have to do things this way. We're going to have to do things that way. And they did listen to me. And we got to practice at home with the things she would need for a general anaesthetic. But I know that if we just walked in on the day,
she would have been pinned down.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And I don't want that for her. And they might not even have been able to do the procedure or to make things happen. And it's so, yeah, I feel like what you're doing, I want to say thank you, because my children are benefiting from what you're doing.
Yeah.
Trying to help people understand how things need to be different and people need to make reasonable adjustments. So important, Suzie. What else do you feel really passionate about in terms of your work?
I do a lot of mindfulness.
I've heard about this.
And it's for people with learning disabilities and autism, you know, all that stuff. And this piece of work it's really good because it doesn't take long to actually pick it up. It might take a few weeks, a few months, you know, practicing. But for some people that are like, you know, how, let's say some people are in hospital and put a needle in their arm to calm them down. We found that doesn't need to happen. They're not animals, you know what I mean? They're not.
Oh, completely. And the thing is, you have to work out if somebody is distressed or angry, you need to know why. And then when you find out why, you can help them, can't you?
Yes.
You know, I feel like that's the way, not to just, you know, medicate somebody without working out what the reason is, because otherwise it'll just happen again, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, it is hard sometimes to get out of a person what they want, but you can tell through the emotions of what you're going through and putting music on, turning lights down a bit and making rooms comfortable for people to go in. Like,
people can tell you stuff with their behaviour, can't they? And they will tell you stuff with their behaviour one way or another. And I think it's just about people watching and paying attention and being open to that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I love, that's so amazing. So before your group started doing mindfulness, had there been other people with learning disabilities doing mindfulness with?
No, not at all. You know, I really thought, what on earth is he talking about? He gives it a current. He taught us to smell the current. He taught us to hear the current. He was telling us all the things, and, you know, look at it, examine it, put it in your mouth and eat it really slowly. I went for a few weeks because I was getting a lot of laughs out of it.
Right.
And then I didn't go back. And then he started again. He did it up and he did it at skills. But this time on, when he come the second time, I actually started getting what he was talking about, right? And he went into more depth and it started to make sense, you know. And, you know, we did all sorts, and it's been going on for years now. And we really, really enjoy it. And some of the people that come on my course can be so, like, frustrated when they come in, but they can leave that room feeling great.
Wow.
Even the staff can come in feeling a bit anxious and, you know, they're not having a good day, but before they've left the room, after the mindfulness and taken notice of their own bodies and stuff, they've been calm.
That's amazing. Do you feel the benefits yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And do your kids do it as well?
Yeah, Anthony does it. He helps deliver the training as well.
Does he?
So he does practices like I did. And
fantastic.
I'm going to be moving into supported living. But I'm getting to choose. I'm getting to tell them what I want. They're not telling me what I need. They're listening to me. And
Brilliant.
I've never had that before. So things are beginning to change.
But have you done some work around that with the quality checkers?
Yes.
So I don't know if the listeners will know what quality checkers are. So could you explain?
Yes. Well, what we do is we check services. We go around United Kingdom, all over the country.
Really, all over the UK?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we used to check out services, making sure that people in services were getting good support, trying to help them to change things, because a lot of the houses had staff rooms.
Oh, in someone's home there'd be a staff room?
Yes, there would be a staff room.
Which is weird.
Where people can't go in that staff room.
In their own home?
In their own home, yeah. So we got that changed, and then we went back up to visit and see how the house was, and it was a sensory room. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and all the house had been decorated to what people wanted it to be.
And it blows my mind a bit, the thought that people are expected to live somewhere and that would be their home, but they couldn't choose how it was decorated. I mean, it makes no sense.
It's really hard. But people do their own bedrooms now. People decorate their own bedrooms, and they have everything that they need on the walls. I've seen houses, footballs and all sorts all over the walls that people have done. And I went into one man's house, and the whole house was a train station.
Oh, wow.
It was trains going all around, everywhere. He couldn't get moved.
Sounds amazing.
And it was this lad's house, and that's what he liked, and that's what they let him do.
And so they should, because it's his home. And what I love about the quality checkers is that I bet it makes a real difference when it's you going in as someone with a learning disability, talking to a person who also has a learning disability. That must make a big difference.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because when they come back and give you cuddles and tell them that things have changed for them, it breaks your heart.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, it really breaks their heart, because they're not asking for much.
No. Well, just for what everyone else has got, a chance to choose how their home is.
Yeah, just to have something that you want in their house, and it's not hard to do.
No, it really isn't.
And it's amazing the small things that people want that people try and keep away from them.
Yeah, and I wish I knew why, because I don't understand it.
It's the same with toys, figures. My auntie likes his figures, and he's been out of day and bought about 4.
Has he?
He's got hundreds, but he loves them, like Transformers, and he just sits and does them. It's like cleaning the stress ball for him, and he does that. And I think people should be able to do that kind of thing without feeling daft or that.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
We all have stuff that we enjoy. You don't need to make a judgment about whether that's okay, but that's not okay. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
My bedroom's like a fairy bedroom, and I have fairies, of pink and all this stuff,
I think do what makes you happy, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love the fact that so much of your work has been around trying to educate people who don't have a learning disability or who aren't autistic about how life might be. So if people were listening to this podcast and you wanted to educate them a bit about how they could maybe make the world a bit of a better place or a bit more inclusive for people, what would you say to them?
I would say listen to your heart.
Yeah.
Listen to the people and make them happy.
Right.
It doesn't cost nothing to give love and share stories and read stories to people. Just do nice things. You know what I mean? And people, all they want to do is to live a decent life and be happy. They're not asking for much.
Yeah. No, I think you're completely right. And I feel like you're such a wise person, Suzie. You've had so much going on in your life, and yet you live your life in a way with such dignity, and you've got so much love that you give out to people. So just for anybody at all, in terms of how to live a good life, what advice do you have?
how to live a good life. Just let your hair down, have fun, shout and scream, run round the back garden, dogs barking, and just get in there and play. Life is too short.
Brilliant.
Life's too short, and a lot of people have suffered in life, and it doesn't need to be that way.
No.
All you've got to do is bring love. Love's the best thing.
Love is the answer.
It is.
I completely agree with you, Suzie.
Yeah.
I really do. This is so lovely chatting to you. And I want to make sure that we've chatted about everything that you want to talk about. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
I could share my poem.
Well, I definitely want you to do that, because Suzie is a poet and she's written a really powerful poem about her life. And I would love you to finish us off this afternoon. I would love you to share your poem, Suzie.
I'm a woman who has talent that you can't take away. They tried with drugs and needles to dope me every day. Institutions stink, they make you want to puke. The doctors think they read you like a book. I was kicked around and used, assaulted and abused. They messed my mind right from the start. They treated me like a dirty tart. But it was them that did that. It was them that scarred my mind. It was them that crippled my innocence and left me feeling that nobody cared. They shoved me in a hostel as a guest of the Salvation Army. With a company of drunks and punks, it was enough to send a poor lass by me. I wondered why it had to be that all my life no one loved me. No one to care, no one to see, no one to listen properly. But now my second life began, a new chance to live life through my kids. A reason for living I have found, and it's so much better second time round. So now I'll tell you, I've got a voice, I've got a right to make a choice. I'm not a toy for you to abuse. I'm a woman of spirit, and now I refuse. I refuse to take that abuse anymore. I refuse to take that abuse anymore. Thank
Suzie.
you.
Oh, honestly, I absolutely love hearing that, Suzie. It's really moved me. And it has been a real honour and a privilege and such a pleasure chatting to you this afternoon. So thank you so much for sharing your life with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode and are feeling very kind, please rate, review and subscribe, and be sure to tell your family and friends to have a listen too. And if you'd like to share your ordinary life with us, we would love to hear from you. You can find us on social media at Ordinary Life 66. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to catch up with you again soon.